We've said this before and we'll say it again. Vaccines are the only way out of this crisis. But vaccine making has become exclusive, almost like a cartel. And we know how cartels work. They're ruthless and unwavering, just like Big Pharma. They're still clinging on to patents. They're still putting profits above human lives. So it's time for governments to step in and dictate Big Pharma. India and South Africa are doing this. They took the lead in October last year. They pushed for a patent waiver at the World Trade Organization. As expected, the West pushed back. Now they have a second chance. The W.T.O will meet again on Wednesday. India and South Africa are presenting a fresh draft. Will they be second time lucky? It's hard to say. A lot depends on Joe Biden. If the United States changes position, the West will follow. So what exactly has Joe Biden said about the patent waiver? The answer depends on which Joe Biden you're talking about. The candidate or the president? Let me show you a video from 2020. This is Joe Biden, the candidate on the campaign trail, promising to waive patents. Listen to this.
If the US discovers a vaccine first, will you commit to sharing that technology with other countries? And will you ensure there are no patents to stand in the way of other countries and companies mass producing those life-saving vaccines?
Absolutely, positively. This is the only humane thing in the world to do.
No scope for interpretation there. Joe Biden said a patent waiver was the most humane thing to do. But as president, he has backed patents so far. More than 100 US Congress members have asked President Biden to waive patents. What is stopping him? The cartel we told you about, Big Pharma. The US Trade Office is apparently holding talks with some stakeholders. But guess who these stakeholders are? Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca. And of all people, Bill Gates, the man who has openly rubbished patent waivers. Also pushing back is the US Chamber of Commerce. They have called the idea of a patent waiver a mistaken belief. So these are the people that Joe Biden is consulting on whether patents should be waived. Big Pharma and patent darlings. Of course, it's possible that he decides to support the waiver anyway, but the damage has already been done. Vaccine production has been set back by months. So even if patents are waived now, and they should be, better late than never, it's a big if they will be waived now, we're looking at a long road ahead. First, reverse engineering, meaning you break down the formula and you create the vaccine from scratch. Then you conduct clinical trials on those new vaccines. A patent waiver is not sharing the formula. It basically only means that you're allowed to copy the formula. All this is going to take time. So Joe Biden's delay may have doomed the developing world already. But let's not lose sight of the real villain here, which is Big Pharma. They have always defended patents. And pandemic or not, their arguments never change. They make two broad arguments. Number one, patents boost innovation. And number two, voluntary sharing is a better option. Let's talk about the first one. Do patents really boost innovation? Is that their only incentive? Well, not quite. During this pandemic, Big Pharma had a big cushion, an insurance of sorts. We're talking about public funding. Look at how much each country spent. The US launched Operation Warp Speed. Do you know how much money they gave Big Pharma companies, pharma giants? $18 billion of taxpayers' money. In the UK, they got nearly $116 million. Most of it went to Oxford and AstraZeneca. Overall, $112 billion of public money went into vaccine research in the pandemic. $112 billion. So people funded the vaccines with tax money. But once the vaccines were ready, Big Pharma locked away the formula. What about profits? Pfizer revealed their revenue projections today. They're expecting $26 billion from vaccine sales in 2021. That's a profit of more than $3 per share. What about Moderna? They have never turned a profit in history, but this year they could rake in up to $20 billion in vaccine sales. AstraZeneca has already reached $275 million in a single quarter. Will this translate into profits? We do not know, because some companies have promised to sell at cost. Some, like Pfizer, haven't. But one thing's for sure, there are no losses. Combined with public funding, chances are every vaccine maker is making good money. So billions of dollars in grants and billions of dollars in sales and pre-orders. What more do big pharma companies want? They're basically raiding treasuries in the middle of a pandemic. Vaccine makers do not need patents to innovate. They have enough incentive from government funding and sales. The other big problem is hoarding. We've already talked about this. More than 1 billion doses have been administered globally. 82% of these were in the developed world. Only 0.3% in the low-income countries. This is vaccine apartheid. At this rate, the virus will keep mutating in Africa and Asia, and this pandemic will drag on for years. Look at the US, for instance. It has secured nearly 1 billion doses, 1 billion, for 300 million Americans. Unless the CDC has advised 3 shots per person, this is hoarding. And it's been days since the White House promised to share its AstraZeneca doses, but American regulators are yet to approve the jab, so they're just sitting on the shelves. 60 million doses waiting to be administered. Let me end by saying this. The Wuhan virus pandemic has bunched up the mob bosses. It has revealed ultra-nationalism in the West. It has shown us the nexus between Big Pharma and governments. But tomorrow at the WTO, they all have a chance at redemption. And this is one of those rare instances where we are hoping to be proven wrong. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.